Warning: this podcast has adult content, foul language, alcohol use, and sexual content, not suitable for children. This is the Tales of a Small Town Bartender podcast, for entertainment purposes only. Never attempt reenactments. This is the Tales of a Small Town Bartender podcast, and I'm your host, Tony. And tonight we have a special guest, Michele. Say hi, Michele.
Hi, everybody. Boy, do I miss my small town.
The small town, yeah. We have people from all over the world sending in stuff, so it's doesn't matter what small town it is, as long as you're a bartender, pretty much. Or we even have people sending in stuff that patrons of the bar sending stuff in. So
okay,
doesn't even have to be a bartender story, just a bar story.
I have bar stories because as a bartender, in order to get the clientele, you have to go out and about.
Mm-hmm. You absolutely do.
So anyway, you go ahead.
So tell everybody how long you bartended.
Okay, I'm 60 years old right now. I just turned 60. I started bartending 5 months before I turned 18. And the owner
before
no, I was 18. I wasn't 18 because back then the law was 18. But I had fake ID. They had sheriff's cards back then, and I finagled my way to get a sheriff's card and started bartending while I was still in high school. But it worked. When we had a birthday party for me turning 18, he was a bit surprised.
I bet.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be asking you a few questions, and then you can tell little stories with the questions if you have any. And then, the last one is if you have any crazy stories. So the first question is, who is the most interesting or crazy person you've met while bartending?
While bartending or
while at the bar, I should say.
While at a bar. Okay. I worked at a few different bars in the Hudson Valley. At this time, I was working when the Wyndham opened up. I was working at the lobby bar. And I met Deep Purple. They had rented out the Chance. And Richie Blackmore came down. And he was hanging out. And he wanted to go to another bar. At that time, Brady's Public House was open. So I took him over there. Well, he is a psychic. And little did I know. Go ahead.
No, I said, oh, yeah? I didn't know that.
We had some cocktails, and we're sitting at a table, and he said, I want you to write down something on this napkin, and don't let me look at it. So I wrote down a nickname I used to call my mother, and I crumpled it up, and he lit it on fire, so he never saw what I wrote down. Well, he looked at me, and he looked at me, and he goes, it's something about your mother. And now I'm dumbfounded because it was my nickname for my mother. He goes, it's Marietta, because I used to call my mom Marietta because she would, make breakfast for me, do my laundry, etc. At 18 years old, 19 years old, that's what we did when we lived home. Anyway, he freaked me out.
Yeah, I bet.
Those are probably the most two famous people.
Yeah, that's great.
But there's
so what's the worst thing you've ever seen happen while you were at the bar or restaurant or wherever?
All right. So at the bar, it's Sal's Place. It's located in Highland, New York. And now, as I said, after I think maybe 2004, it went full catering restaurant. So it wasn't as much as a bar.
Right.
But anyway, anybody that would choke in the bar, I would get too nervous. So I'd run in the back and grab Sal. And he'd come out. I had 2 people choke. I had one guy have a heart attack. Well, everybody took the sign that's supposed to be, that if somebody's choking sign that's supposed to be up in all restaurants, they put it in the kitchen because I would run to the kitchen. And that was all on them. They're like, yeah, Michele don't know how to handle anything like that. Other thing were different, fights when you were younger and stuff like that. But to be a
Yeah.
bartender, you got to understand there's always going to be drama. Now, if
Oh
you're
yeah.
a bartender, my husband, actually, my ex-husband, owned the bar up the road. So we had some different kinds of conflicts. Okay. So this was, they say dive bars. It
Yes,
was,
that's where I work.
yeah, I know where you work. And you guys actually, when we all got OTB, which is another whole ball game in itself,
Yeah.
um, the bar was called the sports pub. So you had your bookie at the end of the bar that would take your bets, and I would go in there. The bar never closed. There's one guy that we used to just let him write down how much he drank, give him his dollars for the jukebox, and we would lock him in. And the
Oh
next
wow.
morning, you would find him asleep under the pool table or under the foosball table. I mean, he was always honest about what he drank, and he
Huh.
always paid up because we were, you know, Matt was actually one of the people. He was the owner, and he would go in and he'd clean in the morning. Well, he brought my son. Now, my son back then was 5, and his friend, and we were going to go to a Mets baseball game, and they're making their, signs for the Mets game and stuff. All of a sudden, my son calls his friend Tyler over. Tyler, you got to look at this. Well, so there he was asleep, and he was very trustworthy. And that's just like a whole another part of a life story. But I wanted to start out with small towns. You say small towns, you say drama. Drama
Hmm.
can go from one spot, as you know, to another spot before you even get there.
Yes. It's amazing how that happens.
Even from your side of the river, Pipsy, and from my side of the river, Highland.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't fathom the fact. You know what I did when I was at the Wyndham? The Chippendales were there, and
No.
they called me. No, you're gonna lose me again. They called
No.
me. They called me down at the bar. They wanted to go to another bar. Can you take us to a bar? And these are like three.
The Chippendale dancers?
Yes, and this is we're going back. Like we're in 1984, maybe now 1985.
Jeez.
And there
I
were
wasn't even old enough to watch Chippendale dancers back then.
most of them are gay,
I
but
have
they're
heard that.
I could care less what they were. Looking at them was enough for me. So I put all 3 of them in my car, and we went to Noah's Ark, and if I didn't look like the queen coming in with these hot guys. Anyway, I got backstage passes and was backstage with them at the chance. And as they're ironing their clothes and deciding, what they were going to do, what song they were going to come out to. And that was so long ago. I had my sister-in-law with me. But that is as far as like famous can go. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. So, well, that question was the worst thing that ever happened while you were working.
No, that we were still on people I met. But the worst thing that ever happened while I was working was the guy that had the heart attack, and I didn't know what to do. And
Right.
I ran and grabbed Sal. And as I'm calling 911 or trying to, I'm out in the middle of the street waiting for an ambulance. Well, little do people know when you call 911, it goes up to Kingston and then it comes back down to Highland where the ambulance is, which is maybe half a mile up the hill to come
Oh,
down. And this guy's having a heart attack, and Sal's trying to help him. And where's Michelle? Out in the middle of the street screaming, "Help! Help!"
oh
Uh,
God.
that you want to talk about a panic attack? That was a panic attack.
Oh, I bet. Wow. Okay, so what's the weirdest, most random thing that you've ever seen happen?
What's the weirdest, most random thing? All right, I'm going to tell you the story about the guy with no arms.
Oh, okay. How do you drink a beer with no arms?
Now, well, listen to this. Across the street from Sal's, there's step one. Now, this is when we were a restaurant. This guy came in with no arms. Now it's a Friday and it's probably about 11:30. So by noontime, I'm jamming busy. And here comes this guy with no arms. And I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do? So he asked for a mug of beer. Now, you're not allowed to serve anybody just because he doesn't have any arms.
Right.
You can't just
Right.
not serve somebody. You have to have
How,
cause.
question, how does he give you money?
He took his feet into his top pocket and he pulled out $2 bills and put them on the bar. Now,
Oh, wow.
do I want to touch that money? Now, this is what's going through my mind. No, I don't
So he's
want to.
barefoot? So he's barefoot.
He had flip flops on.
Oh,
So
wow.
he just flip flop out, and he had the money in his top pocket, and somehow, people can bend that way,
Yeah.
and so
Not
I,
me. Not me.
not me either. But now, as I'm going to the register, I'm thinking, how am I going to give him this 50 cents? What am I going to do? Holy shit! What do I do about this? So I went over. I rung up the $1.50. Went over and I go, "What do you want me to do with the change?" He goes, "Put it on the bar." So I put it on the bar. Ran in the back. So I got to get rid of this guy. It's lunchtime. He goes, "Michelle, you just can't get rid of him. It's against the law." He goes,
Yeah.
You've got to figure it out." Well, he went to the bathroom. Now I'm thinking, holy Lord. He went to the
How's
bathroom.
he going to the bathroom? Oh my God. How does he do that?
I don't know how he went to the bathroom, but all I'm thinking was, I got to touch the money that touched the feet.
Oh,
I couldn't handle it.
there's
Well,
no
now,
way he can unzip his pants with his feet. Come
I,
on.
he must, I don't know. I don't even know if he was really going to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what he was doing.
Honestly, how does he dress himself? Like, that's crazy.
He had two kids too.
Oh, wow.
Well, anyway, come to find out, along with here, let me see if I find you there. Can you still hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Along with that, Sal said, you got to find a way to get rid of this guy. I said, okay, all right. Well, to go orders started coming in, and I did it all there. I did we had, well, OTB, you know how that
Yeah.
goes. We
Yep.
didn't have that yet. That wasn't that time of the century yet. But we did have draw, and we did a lot of food, a lot of to go lunches. Well, the librarian came in and he asked her for $1. Do you have $1 I could borrow? I go, that's it. There's nobody in here that bums money from anybody. You gotta leave. So I found a way to throw them out. Now I'm really good friends with Tig on WPDH.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 days later, I heard him tell a story about this guy going down the street with no arms. So naturally, I called the radio station. He was at the bar, and I didn't know what to do. And oh my god. Well, we laughed. You're not laughing at him for
Right,
not,
right.
but you're laughing at the fact that, first of all, he
That it's a
wasn't.
weird random thing.
I didn't know what to do. I did not know what to do, but I handled it. You know why? To be a
Because, yeah,
bartender,
I do.
you have to be social. You have to know how to handle the situation, and you have to apply the situation really fast. Now, where you work, I know Jen, and I know Jen because Jen's children and my son that you just spoke to real briefly. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I don't know where you went on my phone, but anyway,
Oh,
that we've all grown up together. The kids all grew up together,
right.
so I would go over to Giorgio's. Now this is when OTB came in the picture. You remember when
Mm-hmm.
OTB came in the picture?
Yes, I do.
Yep. And you have your OTB regulars. And then you have the people that don't know how to use the machines. Well, I
Yeah.
had names for all the regulars. You got the leaner, you got the guy that knows the jockey. He thinks he's friends with that jockey. Come on, John, whip it, get it going, get it going, get it up there. And
Mm,
come to find out that wasn't really good for the restaurant business because they're very loud.
they are.
And when you're serving dinners, you don't need all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I do paint classes at Giorgio's and they do the same thing. They start yelling at the TV and stuff. And the ladies
Yeah.
are always looking like, oh, wow. But then one week I was there doing it and one of the regular guys, the lady asked, well, how do you do that? How do you bet? And blah, blah, blah. And he showed her how to do it. And she was making bets. And she stayed after the class was over to bet horses. So,
Once they win a little bit, and
yeah.
and when the Triple Crown is, you've got
Yeah.
people that you never saw before that's just coming in because they don't want to go to OTB, but they
Yeah.
don't have to
Well,
use the machine.
there
Well,
is. There is no OTB in
I
Dutchess
know,
County anymore.
I know. When I came back up
We are it.
the last time I was there was a year ago, April, and well, back to the OTB and to the Triple Crown. I had one of my friends that was an avid gambler. He would stay next to the machine, and I would pour him his shots. He liked Black House, and he would teach the people. Anybody, he would sit right next to the machine, and he'd teach the people what to do. So then you keep them coming in, keep them coming in.
Yeah, we have a couple of people that teach people. Like George does it too if he's there.
George was
But
always good. I when I met him, I loved him. I really, he was just.
everybody loves him.
I know, I know. Same as Sal, exactly same as Sal.
Yeah.
And he started his business in New Year's Eve from 1979 to 1980. I started to work
Uh-huh.
for him, let me find you, in February of 1980, not
Oh wow.
graduated high school yet. And
Wow.
he did not know that, as I said before. But
Yeah, that's
he's
crazy.
still in business. He's still in business. His catering is going great, and the bar is doing good, and the dinners are great. And the food is excellent. But back to reality, hometown bars.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's the most amount of money you've seen one person spend?
All right,
Doesn't have to
spending.
be on drinks or anything
All
like
right,
total bill or whatever, or betting or
okay.
whatever.
Let's start off with the betting. I had the one guy that he was an avid gambler. Before I got out of work, I used to Sal would change my schedule to when Tommy went to school. So at this point, I was getting out of work at 3. And if you remember, Quick Draw used to give a break
Yep.
from 3 to 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Before 3 o'clock, he lost $15,000.
Oh my god.
And that's before this is before you could go, okay, 10 times and just put the ticket in. I'd
Yeah.
have I had OTB, I had excuse me, quick draw arm from putting it in, putting it in, putting it
Oh,
in.
I bet.
And then at that time there wasn't too many people drinking, they were eating, and he's like, I'll buy everybody a round of chili. And he tipped me if he won, he would tip me whatever. If he had a $230 ticket, he would tip me that. But there was one year, one of our very, very good friends, he would always have his Christmas party. And, you don't, as a bartender, I don't call it flirting with. I call it socializing with. If you talk
Yeah.
to somebody and they're spending money, you're doing your job. You're making them feel
Yeah.
welcome. Well, my friend Jimmy was having one of his Christmas parties and he pays for everything. Well, this dude liked me, and every time Jimmy would buy, everything was going. This guy spent. He walked into Sal's. He had $1,200 on him. He went home, he had no money on him.
Oh.
He he called up the next day, he says, "I think I got robbed. I don't have any money and I lost $1,200." He goes, "Nope, you didn't lose it because I had 1,200 $100 bills in my register." So, he was trying to outdo the person that is having the party and would have bought him drinks anyway.
Oh, jeez.
But
I don't know.
those were fun times. Those were fun times.
That's a lot, though. I mean, losing all that money in quick draw. Holy crap! I can't even
All
imagine.
all I thought of was that could be a trip to Hawaii,
Right?
a
That could be a
brand new
cruise.
car. Yeah, that could be so many things. How could you? Because he was waiting for that one hit. When you put in the cards in and he bet 3 numbers, $10 one time, and just keep on putting it in and putting it in. My arm hurt me so bad. Sal had a bartend and I had to just stay at the machine for him.
I had a
15.
guy lose $800 in the ticket machine, the scratch off machine, in 10 minutes.
Whoa.
That
We,
is crazy.
we started off with the scratch off machines, but I didn't like the scratchy stuff on the bar.
Yeah,
I
no, I hated that. We
because,
still have it, so we still get it.
yeah, well, we bought a whole roll of tickets once to see how much would you really win? How much do they get?
Yeah,
How much do we get? Well, I'll
we
tell
had
you what.
people do that too.
Yeah, the profit margin is not on our side.
No, it's not.
Definitely not. But
Nope.
we took out the machine because I got really tired of all of the scratch off yuck getting in between the bars, and I go, please just get it out of here. If they want to gamble, they got quick draw. You
Yeah.
had remember when they just had the daily number, then they had daytime daily and nighttime daily. So now you got
Mm-hmm.
somebody coming up giving you 10 different numbers, 50-50, this, that, 50-50, that, and they're taking up your time. Meanwhile, the phone
Mm-hmm.
is ringing for to-go orders, and there's people that want to drink and eat at the bar.
Yeah.
But that's as far as gambling goes. When they came out with OTB, it just you had the leaner that thought because he was leaning that this horse was going to go further. No, that's not going to happen, leaner. I used to name people at the bar, and that was their names. That was at
That's
Johnny
funny.
Juices. There's one guy, Johnny Juices. He was in assistant living, and he had his walker with his American flag, and he only got paid once a month. And I am not responsible to know what kind of medication he's on. I
Right.
didn't even know he was in assistant living. Well, I named him Johnny Juices. We'll keep his real name since he's passed away off.
Yeah.
But Johnny Juices ended up running a tab. Johnny Juice's tab was, I said, Sal, you got to cut him off. It's like $800. I said, I don't think he makes $800 in a month.
Hmm.
He, oh, but Salvatore, I come to you with my hand on my ass. Please, just $100 more on the tab. I promise to pay you. Well, guess what? That was one of those things that never came back.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens. I know that happens.
Yeah. You're not supposed to do it. You're not supposed to run tabs, but
Yeah.
you have your regulars. But then when they start looking, well, can I have back then $5 for cigarettes? So when cigarette machines were in bars,
Yeah.
I I know I'm not giving you money for cigarettes on your tab. No. Well, you got your tip jar there. It's got a lot of money in it.
Mm.
Yo, dude, that's my tip jar. That's got
Yeah.
nothing to do with you.
Exactly.
And that
That's
money
grocery shopping.
exactly.
Yep. I know.
Mm. I realized, when I found out that when we talked about small towns, and I said Hudson Valley, and you said, "Wait a second," and then actually we had a connection. But at Sal's, okay, birthday parties. I had a birthday calendar, and everybody's birthday that were regulars, I'd write on the calendar, so I knew when to get a cake, and you tell everybody it's so and so's birthday, and then you get your bar busy because
Yep.
and they finally they figure it out after a while. Well, there was one guy, RJW. Oh, Michelle's got a little buzz after work, comes out with the birthday cake. Happy birthday. Then blew out the candles, took out the candles. I went to smash the cake in his face. Well, guess what? The cake didn't smash. It had the hard chocolate on it. I got
Oh,
I got pissed off. I put down the cake. I walked out the door. There was a butcher shop and they sold whipped cream. And I grabbed the two biggest cans of whipped cream I could find. And my boss told me I came in like John Wayne. I whipped creamed everybody in the whole bar.
oh my God.
There was, there was one gentleman that was playing. Do you remember when they used to have the sit down video games where you could sit down and play the video games?
Yeah. The
I,
like the touch screen ones, the mega
well,
touch.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
I whipped creamed him. And then he cleaned off his glasses, so I whipped creamed him again. Well, I turned around and looked, and Sal was going in the back room, and I knew exactly what he was going to do. He came in with the hose, and
Oh
he started
no.
I ran in the bathroom and I locked the door. He was hosing everybody down with the hose.
Oh
We
my God.
he goes, and you, young lady, will come into work 2 hours early to clean up this mess.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
nobody could believe I did it, but nobody could believe he did it either. But those were fun times. Those are memories that you're not going to ever forget.
Yeah. All right. So here's another question. Have you ever dated a customer or a coworker?
No, but my
But
but my ex-husband, who was I wasn't even acquainted with him. He owned the bar up the road. He would Came down, he had a few cocktails, asked me out on a date, and I have a big rule of thumb: no boyfriends in the bar,
Mhm.
no husbands in the bar. You're there to make money, to make the bar money, and to have fun. You cannot have fun, and like I said, it's not flirting; it's socializing. Well, I met him there. Anyway, ended up marrying him, and ended up I would go up on the weekends and I would open up his bar for him. And his bar, oh my God, the squirrel. I've got to tell you the squirrel story. It was a Sunday morning. It was probably like 8 o'clock in the morning. And this one gentleman, can you still hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
This one gentleman worked night shift uh, at what is that plant called? Oh, oh, I can't think of it. It's you don't
The
want
power plant. The power
ha-
plant.
not it's not a power plant. It's like where if anything happened, everything would blow up. What the hell
Indian
is it?
Point.
Yes, Indian Point. So this guy comes in and he'd come in every Sunday and he'd order first, hey, after work, you want a Glenlivet straight up, you go right ahead. It's okay by me. He went
Mm.
into the bathroom and I heard bam, 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 bam. Like, what the hell is that? He came out and he was all scratched up. I go, what? He goes, there's a squirrel in the bathroom. It just attacked me. I said,
What?
we got to get you to the hospital. We got to get the squirrel. We got to get you to the hospital. You got to get a tetanus shot. We got to do something. Now I go into full panic mode because I'm not really good at stuff like this. Matt was outside doing the bottles. This is when you had to start saving your bottles and they would pick it up.
Yeah.
So out sorting the bottles. I said, Matt, get in here. There's a squirrel in the bar. Well, him and his friend went into the men's room with a baseball bat. Now I hear crash, crash, crash. They
Oh
didn't
my
get,
God.
they didn't get the squirrel. They didn't get they broke the urinal, they broke the toilet, but the little freaking
Oh.
went back up in. So now we're like, okay, what do you do? Now the noontime bartender had a bad hip. Now he comes in limping in, and he's supposed to be there at noon. He'd get there quarter after 12, 12:30. Comes hopping in, went into the back room. The freaking squirrel jumped on him. He was now in the back room, which wasn't a usable kitchen because they didn't have food.
Hmm.
But if you're in like golf tournaments or anything that you'd want to put out for food, they had enough supplies of everything back there.
Yeah, that's how George's is too.
Right. Well, the squirrel jumped on him. His hip came out of place. He's laying on the ground
Oh.
screaming. I had to call 911. The ambulance had to come. Now I got two of the customers over in Vassar Hospital at the time.
Oh my
And,
God.
oh my God. We called, uh, who was it? Jason, I can't think of his last name right now. He has
That's right.
pest
You don't need to
control.
say his last name on
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Yeah, Jason has pest control business, and he came and he got the squirrel, but this little freaking squirrel ruined the bar. Ruined the bar.
Sounds
With
like it. They broke the toilet in the urinal. That's crazy.
a baseball bat. What are you swinging at? Man, what are you swinging at? The squirrel's already up in the ceiling. But
So
now
did anybody
I,
ever catch the squirrel?
Jason caught the squirrel. Took about 3 hours. He got the squirrel. The squirrel was done. Then you had to put a new toilet, a new urinal.
Oh my God.
After that, the bathroom was nice and clean, needless to say. But that's as far as that goes there. That was funny. Now we'll go back to Sal's because we're back to that small town that only had. I had this couple that used to come in the bar, so I assumed that they were a couple. I mean, they've been coming in for a year. Now I'm a customer at the bar, and I'm sitting at the bar. We have a pool table. They're sitting there. I'll buy them a drink, whatever. This guy comes in the bar, looked at them both, smashed their heads together. The girl's head was bleeding. It was her husband. That
Oh
person
shit.
there, they weren't husband and wife. This dude was her husband. Well, now this other guy playing pool decided, fist fight. Cracked the pool stick over his knee and went, hey, oh. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You sit down over there right now. And then I let the take over on the girl bleeding. But that I couldn't even believe that they weren't married because they were coming in so long.
Wow.
But that's, I guess, those are no tail stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep, I know. I have a
And then,
couple that's been coming in for years, and they were messing with me. They were married, but they told me years ago. I just recently found out they were married, but they told me years ago that they were married to other people. So they were having an affair. So I thought this whole time they were having an affair, but then like a month ago I found out they're actually married and they were just messing with me.
ah, yeah, I
It's so funny.
well, I used
Mm.
to, I used to have. They had at 4:20 on PDH. They would always have what was it called, a mystery riff. Well, when you have a bar full of rock and rollers, the mystery riff they play like 2 seconds of a song, and you would have
Hmm.
to answer. So
Yeah.
I had 3 lines at the bar, working 3 lines. So if
Hmm.
one didn't work, you press the other one, and I had redial. Well, I would always win, but you can't always win on PDH because you only can win once a month. So I'd have to give the phone to somebody else. I think the last time that I won tickets to Tesla, Def Leppard, and Styx, and they were fifth row tickets. Tig is the best.
Nice.
Was definitely the best, and he's definitely a good friend.
My pet peeve is when you're already waiting on three people and somebody's walking towards the bar and they're yelling their order at you as they're coming up. I need blah 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 blah, and I'm like, busy. Hold on a minute. They do it all the time. They walk towards the bar and they're telling me what they want as they're walking towards me, and I'm already doing something. And that drives me nuts. But they do it all the time.
What were some of your other questions?
Let's see. Has anyone tipped you with anything other than cash?
Yes, I had a
Yes.
guy that had a crush on me. Now, I was single and I don't date customers. I don't. I
Hmm.
just don't. Well, he bought 2 tickets to see Billy Joel and Elton John on the face to face concert.
Oh, nice.
He left me a ticket as a tip. And nicely, I explained to him, I'm sorry, but I don't date bartenders. I said, would you like your ticket back? I think they were back then, they were $125 a piece.
Yeah.
And no, he goes, just take the other ticket, give me $25 and just go with one of your friends. I'm sorry I even did that. So I ended up with 2 tickets for $25 to Elton John and Billy Joel face to face, 4 hour concert. That was amazing.
I bet.
It was amazing. They both sang each other's songs.
Oh, wow.
And it was except for the fact that they stopped serving after an hour. So if you're drinking and then you stop drinking and it's 3 hours, you're like, all right, I've had enough already. Just snuck in
Yeah.
a,
Why did
a
they
little
stop serving? That's weird.
because it was what's it called, Giant Stadium,
Wow.
and that was the rules. That was their rules.
Would you rather be served an amazing drink by an awful bartender or an awful drink by an amazing bartender? That one gets
Okay.
everybody.
No. Are you ready for my answer? I would
Sure.
rather have not. I would rather have an amazing bartender. No, I would rather have a bartender that's social. And if I ask them for a drink and they don't know how to make it, I would either number one, teach them how to make it, or
Yeah.
number two, I'm very noted for jumping behind a bar and just making my
Do it
own drink.
yourself.
Yeah, and just do it myself. It happened down here. Somebody didn't know how to make a dirty martini or a cosmetologist. Come on. These are easy drinks.
Yeah.
know? But instead, what did I do? The commander was there because I'm with the veterans now down in Florida. I ended up working with the veterans, which they
Hmm.
have different posts. And the commander was like, Michelle, just go make it. And I was like, all right. So anytime, but I did have this guy come in and he was spending money. And he goes, you know what you should do right now? You should take out your teeth and drop to your knees. And I looked at him. I said, yeah, okay. And he ordered 4 shots. And I said, that'd be $48, please. He goes, pardon me? I said, $48 for the shots, or there's the door. He paid the $48. They did their shots. I said, now you're leaving. And one of my girlfriends was sitting there. She was like, "Can't believe that they said that to you and you didn't blow up at them." I said, "No, I just took their money." I said, "What are you gonna do? You're gonna yell at them and then get in an argument?" I'm not argumentative. No, instead I'll hit it where it hurts, in your wallet. And
Wow.
I did pretty good at that. John
How
actually, go ahead.
how much do those shots normally cost?
Well, depending, $5 to
Oh, geez, 48 bucks.
$6.
Okay.
The one guy I was telling you about that was buying the rounds of drinks at the Christmas party.
Hmm.
I I don't even know what people were drinking. I was just coming up with a figure in my head. That's $78 that round. Oh no, that round's $98. I rang out so much money. I actually, one of my neighbors was a police officer and he was a good friend. And I called him. I made so much money that night. I called him and I said, and actually, I called Paul up. And I said, "Paul, could you just come down and escort me out? Because these people know what I've made. And some of them you don't really know.
Hmm.
You know as well as I do. You get shady characters sometimes.
Yep.
But that's
Was
far about as far as about that goes. The most I've ever made in tips in one night at Sal's was
mm,
over two. It was that night, and it was over $2,000. Because
wow.
people are drinking for free, and they're just throwing money at you, not caring, especially if they're gambling and they win.
Hmm.
So, what's the best to be in a small town bar with good food and having a nice quiet night? Now that we're older, yes, I would say
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But back then, making money, having fun, having birthday parties, having Labor Day party. It was supposed to be for us, for laborers, the people that worked there. Well, that turned into a party at the bar instead of at the boss's house. It
Oh
was
yeah.
just so many different things, like in the parades that have to be down. Memorial Day parade starts at 9 in the morning.
Uh
Well,
huh.
you got to be down there by 7 o'clock to set up, but you
Yeah.
still want to run out there and watch the kids walk by and watch everybody walk by. And
Yeah.
we made a float for us with all part of the military on the float. And we made the flowers by hand and everything. And I kept on calling it a raft. Our raft is coming
A
already.
raft.
And they're like, "No, Michelle, it's a float. It's not a raft." And I don't know if you remember, but do you remember back in it was 2010 when we had the big storm right before Halloween?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
the main street in Highland, which is called Vineyard Avenue, had so much water that we actually took one of Sal's rafts and went down the street on the raft.
Oh. Oh my God.
And then somebody wrote signs, raft ride, $10.
Oh my
And
God.
people were doing it. They didn't care. It was fun. It's all in fun when you're in a small town and you know the people and
Yeah.
you know if somebody's getting too drunk, you know to take away somebody's keys, you know to call, they didn't have Uber back then. We had
Yeah.
local taxi cab driver or the local person that wants to make $5 or $10 and they would take them home.
Yeah.
Or wait until when I close the bar and I'll drive you home, but I'm not serving you no more.
Yep. Still do that.
Yep. I'll
Still do
tell you
that.
what.
I get people Ubers sometimes, or they can just hang out until I leave.
Yep. Well, Highland compared to now I'm in Denson Beach. And I got to tell you what, it's the same thing. Once you get into your little clique, you have the cliques. You have
Yeah.
the clique. But it's all military, so it's all well deserved and well respected. I'm really surprised I never met you. I'm really, really surprised.
Yeah, we might have. I just don't know it. We might have. I don't think I've ever been to Sal's.
But what was the bar's name? It closed up and became a laundromat. It was before Giorgio's.
Oh,
Wilson's. Wilson's Tavern. That's what it was. Wilson's Tavern.
I
And
don't remember that one.
well, there was you know that what's the place that burnt down? It was on a corner. It was a restaurant and a bar.
Joseph's Joseph's Steakhouse. You're talking about? It used to be
Yeah,
Michael's.
yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right up the road from us.
Well, they were all brothers.
Yeah.
They were
Wilson's.
brothers.
Yeah. Yep.
I was in there one night, and this when everybody wore, you know, rabbit fur coats. That was
Mm-hmm.
allowed back then. It wasn't frowned upon. And this chick took her coat and put it over my coat and was stealing it. And
Oh.
at 18, 19, don't mess with me. Went up to the guy at the door. I said, she's got my coat underneath her jacket. Grab her before I do. And so he grabbed her, and I just grabbed a hold of the jacket. And I was like, yo, you don't do that. That's no, that's my coat. That's not your coat.
Some
All
people
right.
have balls, huh?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Even when you're behind the bar, you have to understand one thing. You're in control. You're in control of the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't want to listen to you or they start getting loud, and if you're spending money and you're good, you stay. If you're loud and you feel, if you get that gut instinct, cut them
Yep.
off, get them out. It's
Yep.
not worth it. It's just not worth it. But
And I've had to do that twice recently. And it usually goes like months in between, but I feel like it was a lot closer this time. I mean, I've talked about him on the podcast. I had the one guy that called the cops on me because I kicked him out. That was ridiculous. And
uh,
then I had the guy last week that said he was a Jedi. He was being weird. Some people are just weird.
some people really believe it. It's all done because of the internet. They really believe it. They believe that that there's different kinds of people. I don't know. There's one name my son told me. They're this kind of people, and they're this not like alligators, but he has this name for them. I don't know what the heck it is, but they believe it. They really believe it. And I don't know if you ever looked into it, but they have the tales of Poughkeepsie tapes.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
the
all the
Poughkeepsie
kids.
tapes.
Yeah, when they were 16 and 17, when Jen's kids and my kids were 16, 17, they believed it. That's
Oh
not
yeah.
true. That's just a story about a guy that did not come from Water Street. There's no houses on Water Street that look like that even come near that.
Well, they
That
all thought that they were talking about Kendall Francois. That's what everybody thought that those were about.
Yep, exactly, exactly. When they busted him, I had my son at the doctor's office, which was right
Oh,
across the
right
street,
across the street. Yeah.
and he had chicken pox. So they put us in a room where it's a condemned room, and you could look out the window. And I
Yeah.
was watching them take out bodies, and I was like, "Whoa! Now, Tommy, over here. Look over here. Don't look at that way. You don't need to
Yeah.
know."
Right. My kids
But
went to that same doctor's office. See, I know we met somewhere. We had to
he
have.
had he had to. But I've been down here now since 2015. In Florida. Now everything is sky high. Oh, move to Florida. Everything's so cheap. There's nothing so cheap. There's
Yeah.
nothing cheap.
Well, it got
That,
real expensive up here.
yeah, I know because my son keeps on saying, "Let's go back. I want to go back. What are you going to do in Highland? What are you going to do in Highland?" No, we're staying in Florida. Right now it's 74 degrees out. I'm sitting in my Florida room and I'm happy.
Yeah.
So, as far as Highland goes, as far as Hudson Valley goes, I have my friends. I keep my friends from up there, a few that I talk to in my family, and that's it. I don't, I go to Sal's when I go there and just say hi to everybody. And first customer I served there when I left Sal's in 2015, I got Budweiser gave me a going away party. Tyler
Hmm.
did, and I didn't know what they were doing. But I all of a sudden I had a crowded bar. So the first person I served was this guy named Tom. And he wanted to be the last person I ever served there too. Meanwhile, the phone's ringing with this weird phone number, and it was Tig from PDH. We're interviewing you on the air. And guess what? I had too many shots in me for an interview.
Oh, jeez.
Questions that you're asking me, and I'm like, Tig, I can't answer these questions on the air. I can't do it. I love you to death, but it can't be done. But I gave him a few light ones, like the chick with the head bashing together. I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, the biker parties. One guy was taking something. It was. You ever see the picture of the little kid sitting on the beer keg with a roll of toilet paper? It's a
Yeah.
real it's a really cute picture, and I
Yeah.
had it on the wall. And here's one of these colored bikers. Colored meaning they wear their patches.
Yes.
Take the door. And I'm like, wait a second. So they always had a good guard at the door, and this is before we went into a restaurant. Like I said, there's two different kinds of businesses now. This is before we went into a restaurant. Grab that picture right out, and all whatever colors they were, which I won't say, out the door for all of them. They always
Yeah.
they always did take good care of us.
3 items other than bar tools that you might bring to work.
Well, kind of obvious telephone, kind of obvious lipstick,
That was one of mine too.
and let me think of a third item. Money to play quick draw before I started work, just in case I might win. I would always drop a 20 in and play my son's birthday and play it $5 5 times with the extra.
Oh yeah.
And if you hit for 100. If you don't hit, oh well, it's $20 down the drain.
Yeah.
But what do you got to bring in? They don't really let you on the phone. They don't want you when you're busy. You can't be on the phone. You
Mm.
tag in where you are, what's going on. Winter parties, snow parties. We used to have like 10 people. We'd all have four-wheelers, and we'd go bar hopping in the big snowstorms. Right? There's so much in the Hudson Valley that you can do, that
Yep.
you could see that's enjoyable. But as you get older, those kind of things aren't as fun.
Yeah.
Is talking to you right now. I was a little nervous, so I had my little Smirnoff orange right here, calm it, and I'm sitting in my Florida room, and I don't I don't get snowstorms. I
Yeah.
get hurricanes. I think I'd rather have the snowstorms.
Really.
Well, you got to make sure you pack up, you get all your papers, good paperwork, anything you need. Lock your door, and you don't know if you're going to have a house when you come back.
Mm.
That's a lot
Yeah.
scarier than watching somebody plow you out.
That's true.
So that's probably the only downfall about being down here is that. But other than
Yeah.
that, I love Florida. I absolutely love Florida. And I think that as far as this, when we all had to close up for a while, Florida opened
Hmm.
up a lot faster, and I
Yes.
got back to work a lot faster.
Yeah, we were closed for 4 months.
Yeah, I think that we closed up on St. Patty's Day, 5 o'clock on St. Patty's Day.
We closed before St. Patrick's Day. Thanks for coming on, and I'm sure I'll have you on again.
Yep. Oh, I will. Let me just get my little mind thinking, and I'll talk to Jen, and maybe we can do the three-way because Jen and I have stories also. And
Yeah.
it's my pleasure to have talked to you about it.
You can contact us in many ways. Email at talesofasmalltownbartender@gmail.com. Our website at www.talesofasmalltownbartender.com. Facebook, facebook.com/Tales of a Small Town Bartender. Instagram, Tales of a Small Town Bartender. TikTok, Tales of a Bartender. Twitter, at bartender_tales, and on our Patreon page, patreon.com/Tales of a Small Town Bartender.